Domingo Santana, ooh, I wanna have ya. Tanaka's Fakakta, Jag like Michael Waka, Polanco and Franco. Where'd you go to get into first place? Check Madden by data and swinging strike rates. Raisins are shriveled grapes. Here's Adam's happy place.
Happy Kokomo Friday and welcome into Fantasy Baseball Today, presented by Line and Kugels. More on their great variety of beverages later on in the podcast. First and foremost, happy Memorial Day weekend as well. Just want to thank those men and women who have served and continue to serve this country. Our sincerest thank you from all of us here at CBS Sports. Frank Stanfield joined by Scotty Dubs, Scott White, and we'll get to the mountain. Alek Manoah, Week 10 sleepers, 2-start pitchers, fantasy fun facts, your Apple Podcast review questions, and much, much more. But first, what do we have here? That's right, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I will be drinking a Line and Kugel Summer Shandy all podcast long. So, Scott, feel free to take the reins today. This is your podcast.
Okay. Way to throw it to me. Totally unprepared.
How you doing, Scott? Scott is fired up because we were talking beforehand and he's ranting about stuff and he got the wheels turning. I think we have to come up with a new segment where we just have Scott's rants. I'll come up with, a more creative name for it, obviously, hopefully. But Scott's fired up and I like this. I like this side of Scott. Angry Scott. Let's go.
Oh, I am just raging today, Frank. Just raging. No taking it easy on this Kokomo Friday.
We haven't had the voice changer in a while, which just earned us at least 5 emails over the weekend. This guy is not worthy of oh my goodness gracious. He's better than oh my goodness gracious. We're starting off with the mountain. That's right. I am dubbing Alek Manoah the mountain. You've seen Game of Thrones. Doesn't matter. Alek Manoah, the mountain looks up to Alek Manoah. This guy is a hulking human being, and he dazzled in his first professional start against the New York Yankees, debut in Yankee Stadium, 6 shutout, 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 13 swinging strikes on 88 pitches. Scott, what did you see from Alek Manoah? And is he, this roster rate has to be 100%, right? Because he's right around 73, 74%. I think it needs to be 100%.
Yeah, he looked really good. And he looked really good.
Yeah.
He used all 4 of his pitches. The one he used the least, he still used 15% of the time. That shows a lot of polish for a guy just making his major league debut, and after only 9 minor league starts in his entire minor league career. The spin rate on his fastball was great. His control, he threw 68% of his pitches were strikes. It's also very impressive to see from a guy in his major league debut. Only 2 hits allowed. 13 swinging strikes on 88 pitches. I mean, that's fine. That's a good number. But I think with that 4-pitch arsenal and the fact that the fastball itself is such a good swing and miss pitch, I mean, that's not going to be a problem for him. He's going to miss plenty of bats. He just looked so much movement on all the pitches. Like he looked really, really good. And I can't. There's nothing negative I can say about him. I mean, this is how he looked in spring training. This is how he was looking at AAA. He just seems like he's ready to take off here. And his second major league start next week is going to be against Miami. So, it seems like you might want to go ahead and get him active right away, in addition to picking him up wherever he's still available. The only negative I can say about Manoah is that because of that lack of experience, are we going to see him go in 6 innings still in September? Like at what point are they going to have to do something about those innings? But not the time to worry about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We'll worry about it the closer we get to that point. If there comes a time in the season where we see a sell high window opportunity to trade Alek Manoah in redraft leagues, in keeper or dynasty, I think you're going to want to hold on to this guy because he looks pretty damn good. His first 2 strikeouts came against Rougned Odor, a changeup, which is supposed to be his third pitch. it looked like, I don't want to overstate this or anything, but it looked like a really, really good changeup. Not like, okay, the best changeup in the league, but it was a really good changeup. And then his second strikeout came against Aaron Judge, where the ball was already in the glove before Aaron Judge even swung at it. So 94.9 miles per hour on the fastball for Alek Manoah. Plays up a little bit because he's got that extension. He's 6'6". Really liked what I saw there. Can't say anything bad about it. Like you said, Scott, he only allowed 2 hard hit balls all day in the start against the Yankees. If you are playing in a league where he is still available and there is fab in a 12-team league, Scott, what are you thinking? And then versus a 15-teamer, because I play in a few 15-team leagues where he's available, and I was talking to someone today. I think he's going to go for like over 30% of fab budgets. I think people are just going to clear it out for him.
Yeah, I would. I'd probably go 35% if he was still available. I might go, and just in case somebody, so like a league with $1,000 budget, like Tout Wars, like TGFBI have, 367. It's going to be my bid. I always go $17 more when it's a big bid like that, just to keep it random.
Okay.
It's not random because it's the same thing every time, and it's not random because I just told everybody. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And shallower league. I mean, there are a lot of other considerations here. Obviously, is it daily fab? Is it $0 bids or something, or do you have to save $1 for every transaction you plan on making for the rest of the season because of minimum $1 bid? If it's weekly, you end up having to bid more because everybody's tuned in that one day a week and they're all competing. So before this start, we were talking like 20% of the budget, right?
Yep.
Do you go higher in shallower leagues than 15-team leagues, or do you go lower?
I would assume lower than what you were just saying. I would be willing to spend that much in a deeper league, like 15 teams or deeper, or if you're playing some kind of AL only, you're going to want to be really aggressive, over 30% of your fab budget. But I think in a 12-team league, 20 to 25%, I think that's fair.
Yeah. The case for going even higher in a shallower league is there are going to be fewer pickups that literally everybody in the league is in on, just because they're 15-team leagues, when somebody's legitimately good and emerges on waiver wire, like moths to the flame, the whole league. So there's a definite bidding war there, but there's going to be a bidding war for Manoah no matter what league you're in. But there are fewer bidding wars in general in shallower leagues because obviously there are more good players to go around. So that would be the case for going like 40% or something if you had a lot of fab dollars left and you just really wanted to win him. But I could see it both ways. I could see going like 25%.
The man was awesome. The man, the myth, the mountain, Alek Manoah. But there was actually more games on Thursday outside of just the Yankees and Blue Jays. So let's get to it.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
All right, Scott, where do you want to start? One of your other standouts from Thursday.
Dylan Cease. Yes. There's no stopping Dylan Cease. He had the start I'd been waiting for him to see, and I'd been pointing out the spin rate was way up on all of his pitches, fastball and slider especially, like the best spin rate in baseball, more or less, on those two pitches. And he had 220 swinging strike efforts where the final result wasn't that good. But, 20 swinging strikes, you don't see that very often except from like the Jacob deGrom class of starting pitchers. Well, today against the Orioles, I acknowledge it's the Orioles, but they're not as far down, like at least team OPS, they're not as far down as you think. But anyway, against the Orioles today, Dylan Cease struck out 10 in 6 innings, allowed 1 run, 29 swinging strikes. I don't know if that's like the highest single game total for anyone this season. I want to say somebody broke 30 at some point, but it equals Jacob deGrom's season high, 29 swinging strikes. And Dylan Cease just did it. And yeah, I said it a couple days ago when we were talking a dynasty context. Buy him now because he's about to take off. Still looks like he's about to take off. 2 starts next week for Dylan Cease at Cleveland versus Detroit.
Oh my!
So
That is
Yeah.
tasty.
There may be no looking back after those 2 starts for Cease.
Yeah, the ERA is down to 2.98, and you might still have a buying opportunity, which sounds weird considering the start that he just had, because someone might look at the underlying number, Scott, and they'll say, oh, but he has a 4.04 xFIP, which, okay, we should mention that because he is a fly ball pitcher. He tends to lean towards fly balls when people make contact against him, which hasn't been often recently. And his home run to fly ball ratio was just 6.5% coming into this start. So you have to assume he's going to allow more home runs as the season goes along, pitching in Chicago, which is more of a hitter's park as the weather heats up. But he is, you can't take away the fact that he is getting swings and misses at this phenomenal rate. Over his last 5 starts, entering this one, Scott, he had a 16.8% swinging strike rate, which if that was the entire season, he would rank top 5 among qualified starting pitchers. So Dylan Cease is on another level right now. Spin rates are up, as you have continuously talked about. And
continuously. You can't stop me from saying it.
Can't stop Scott now. I don't know the next words there, but yeah.
I don't know what you were even doing.
That's from Shaun of the Dead. Can't stop me.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It's a great song. All right. So yeah, Dylan Cease, I mean, look, buy him, buy high if you can. If someone else in your league is not valuing him the same way that we are, which is inside of our top 50 starting pitchers now, Scott. I believe we've all made that upgrade. So yeah, Dylan Cease is awesome. For me, I wanted to highlight Pablo Lopez, who was up against the Phillies, and he allowed 2 runs with only 5 strikeouts over 7 innings pitched, only 9 swinging strikes on 92 pitches. However, he threw 5 different pitches at least 13% of the time in this start. And coming into the season, he was talking about throwing more breaking pitches. He didn't really say which one, if it was his cutter or his curveball. But in this start, 20% cutters and 16% curveballs. Those were both season highs for Pablo Lopez, and he's coming off back-to-back 7-inning starts. The ERA is down to 2.71. He's got a 1.13 whip. Does come with a 3.69 xFIP. So I'm not expecting Pablo Lopez to pitch to a sub-3 ERA for the rest of the season. But I thought it was encouraging, Scott, that he's giving you more length recently. He's giving you more volume in terms of innings. And he actually is throwing these breaking pitches more. So I really like that from his Thursday start.
Yeah, I mean, he feels Aaron Savali-like to me, which I don't mean in a good way, but you can interpret it in a good way if you want to. Just, below average strikeout pitcher, but good enough in other areas that you're probably going to be glad you have him and are starting him.
Before we get to everything else on this podcast today, Scott, can we just talk about this Javier Baez play? Because
yes,
should I page Chris Tower? Should I get him on the podcast?
No, because we'll just fight. No, it was fine. We were arguing about it on Twitter earlier. Yeah, it
was wild. Look, it was one of the dumbest plays that I've ever seen in my life, but it was also highly entertaining because a lot of things that Javier Baez does and he's a part of are entertaining, and they're very good for the game of baseball. I love the fact that obviously he gets, if anyone hasn't seen it, Javier Baez, normal routine ground out. I believe there's 2 outs in the inning, and
yes, that's an important detail. There are 2 outs in the inning. I'm not sure anybody who participated in the play knew there were 2 outs in the inning, but yes.
He's running to first base. They throw it over to first base. He just starts running backwards, and he gets caught in a rundown between home and first, which I have never seen in my life in baseball. There was a runner on second. It was Wilson Contreras. While all this is happening, Wilson Contreras comes all the way around and scores at home plate while this rundown is going on between home and first.
He crossed home plate. He hadn't scored yet.
Yeah.
There's another, in order for that to count as something, Javier Baez has to get to first base. He hasn't made it to first base yet. Okay. So he's crossed home plate. He hasn't scored yet, Wilson Contreras. But continue.
Well, what else would you like to say about it? Because I feel like that's okay. Wilson Contreras crosses home plate, and then they throw the ball to, I believe it's Will Craig who's playing first base for the Pirates. He throws the ball home, and then they try to tag Wilson Contreras out at the plate. Javier Baez is making a safe sign all the while, like he's playing umpire. Then he starts running to first base.
Which again, he wasn't safe. Like it wasn't a run yet. And Javier Baez is just standing there, having not reached first base yet, making the safe call.
And no one was covering first base at that point. So he runs to first. They throw it to first. It gets past first, and then he winds up on second base. So I don't know if I did a good job breaking down the play. If you haven't seen it, please go out and watch it while we're talking about it here.
Yes,
I will let you give your take on it.
It is a play that will be replayed for a very long time because it was. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I'm saying this. It was the worst play I've ever seen. It was. The first baseman forgot there was a force out on first base on a ground out. The guy playing first base forgot that on a ground ball on the infield, there is always a force out at first base. Like, the reason you've never seen a rundown between home plate and first base is because there's always a force out at first base. Like, there's no reason for it. There's nothing to gain by retreating to home plate for Javier Baez, especially since, Will Craig wasn't the one who fielded the grounder himself. It's not like he was way off first base. The throw was a little off, so he caught it standing right next to first base. He steps on it. The inning's over. Instead, he decides to chase Javier Baez back to home plate, which, okay, maybe heat of the moment. He just sees a moving target. He has to chase it. You could forgive the initial brain cramp, but still, considering there were 2 outs. All that matters is that Javier Baez doesn't get to first base. It doesn't matter what Wilson Contreras is doing. As I've stressed, the run will not count if Javier Baez never makes it to first base, which is why it was ridiculous that Javier Baez is standing there making the safe call when he hasn't gotten to first base yet.
I'm rewatching the play now. It's hilarious.
Will Craig catches the ball right next to first base. Javier Baez retreats for no good reason. But Craig decides to chase him for no good reason. He chases him back to the plate, basically. At that point, Wilson Contreras is about to cross, and the catcher is signaling for Will Craig to throw him the ball. Again, it doesn't matter. You just can't let Javier Baez get to first base, but for some reason, Will Craig obliges, throws the catcher the ball. He tries to tag the runner. He can't. Runner crosses the plate. Javier Baez gives the safe sign. But now Javier Baez has a clear path to first base and nobody's covering it. So the catcher throws the ball into right field, and of course Javier Baez makes it to first base safely. Oh
my gosh.
All Will Craig had to do, he decides halfway down the baseline, oh shoot, why am I chasing Javier Baez? I got there's a force out at first base. He could just sit down in the base path and wait for Javier Baez has to make his way back to first base eventually. Like, the only thing Will Craig can't do in that moment is throw the baseball, is forfeit the baseball so that it is not in Baez's path back to first base, which is why, the catcher, who's the catcher? It was somebody I never heard of, actually.
Oh, Michael Perez?
Michael Perez. Yeah, all Michael Perez should be doing is standing there pointing at first base. That's all he should be doing. He should not be signaling for the ball. This was a systemic failure of epic proportions, started by Will Craig not stepping on first base, compounded by him even chasing Baez back. He's not going full speed. He could easily catch up to him and tag him, but he's just kind of waddling behind him.
I think when you're caught in the heat of the moment, though, Scott, which is something that we're not really taking into account, when you're playing a game and the adrenaline's rushing, it's hard to actually just stop and think about what you're actually doing, right? So in that instance, everything that you're saying is correct. He could have just stopped and sat down. He could have just stepped on the base, anything. But I can see why in the heat of the moment, and it was a great heads-up play by Javier Baez, because how often you've never seen someone stop running to first base and just run back the other way.
No, that's my argument. It wasn't. You never see it because there's no point. It's a 0 probability play.
But the throw to first base did pull Will Craig off the bag. He easily still could have gone back and stepped on it. I agree with that.
He just has to step over.
But usually when that happens, when they're pulled off the bag, they do try to go and just tag the runner. That's what they typically use a lot.
I said, I'll grant the initial mistake of pursuing the moving target. Okay. I can understand he had a brain cramp there, But this was such a slow developing play that at some point he has to realize, oh, this is stupid. I should just head back to first base.
You're right about that.
Or his teammate, the catcher, should be pointing to like everybody. Baez himself, thinking the runner is safe. It's like he forgot there were 2 outs too. It was
the best part of the play. I just rewatched it 5 times. Javier Baez just standing there in like right next to home plate, making a safe signal. It was hilarious. But we've already spent way too much time on this, Scott, about 5 or 6 minutes here. But I do appreciate the rant. Is there anything else you got to get off your chest?
There was, but now I forgot it. I guess we'll have to move on. There was another key issue I wanted to bring up. If I think of it, I'll just interrupt it and go back to it. All
right. Well, that's fair. Before we get to news and notes, just wanted to let you know about what's going on at CBS Sports HQ. As always, CBS Sports HQ is the network to start your sports news day at 8 a.m. Eastern with Morning Buzz, an hour of highlights, news, and all the day's need to know. And come back or leave us on all day at 6 p.m. where we break down all the night's action and release dozens of picks from the best analysts and cappers in the sports world. You watched all our coverage for the Europa League final on Wednesday, and we have the oh-so-coveted Champions League final this Saturday after the match concludes. Don't leave the app, as HQ will have extended coverage breaking it all down with the best soccer minds out there. Like I said, go to your Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, really most connected TVs, and look for the CBS Sports app, fire it up, and check out HQ. And heck, tell us what you think about it on Twitter. Some news and notes from Thursday. Shohei Ohtani was scratched from his pitching start on Thursday because he was delayed getting to the stadium. There was a transportation issue. He remained in the lineup as the DH and will be starting as the pitcher on Friday. Trevor Story left Thursday with arm tightness. He's considered day-to-day. Trey Mancini was diagnosed with a bruised elbow after a hit by pitch. Noah Syndergaard mentioned yesterday that he left his most recent rehab start with elbow soreness. He is now shut down 6 weeks due to right elbow inflammation. So really bad news there for Syndergaard if you were stashing him. Scott, I don't know if you have your IL stash ranking coming out again soon, but I would have to imagine Noah Syndergaard moves pretty far down that list.
Nobody who goes on the IL comes off the IL, Frank. That's the way this goes. That's the way the season is going.
I have an interesting note on the IL too, which I will bring up in just a little bit. Austin Nola is going to the IL with a knee sprain. Miguel Rojas was placed on the IL with a dislocated finger. Michael Kopech was placed on the bereavement list. Starling Marte could be activated for the Marlins weekend series. Aaron Hicks is expected to miss the remainder of the season. Estevan Florial was promoted. I don't know if I could bring it up because every time I do, Scott yells at me, why are you bringing up Estevan Florial? He did go 1 for 3 with a double, his first career hit in the majors.
Good for him.
In game 2 of the doubleheader. Yesterday, we said Corey Kluber would be out at least 1 month. It turns out he will be out at least 2 months with that shoulder strain. Tony Gonsolin likely needs 2 more rehab starts at AAA. He fired 3 shutout in his first start. Taijuan Walker will return on Friday and start against the Braves. Tyler O'Neill was activated for the Cardinals. Wade Miley will return Sunday and start against the Cubs. Danny Duffy remains in shutdown mode after being diagnosed with a left flexor strain a few weeks back. Tristan McKenzie was sent back down to AAA after Wednesday night's start. And I mentioned I have an IL note. If you were wondering just how much injuries are up this season, I saw a great tweet from Derek Rhodes from Baseball Prospectus. You can give him a follow on Twitter at DRHOA3. He pointed out via a line graph. He does great work with injuries that IL placements are up 30% this season compared to this point back in 2019. So basically by the end of May, IL placements are up 30% this year, and that does not include COVID IL. So that is just a massive amount, because when you actually factor in the COVID as well, I mean, we're probably
guys will go on that for a day sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Because of the vaccine and stuff. But it's, if you want an actual number, there it is. 30% injuries are up so far this season. Some prospect updates.
I do want to mention on Corey Kluber, the reason that changed from 1 month to 2 months is he's going to be reevaluated in 1 month, but the second month is presuming a rehab stint.
Mm-hmm. Which
so that's
makes sense.
Yeah.
And that would bring us to the end of July, early August. So maybe we can get the final 2 months out of Corey Kluber, which he was pitching very well. So hopefully it happens. Some prospect updates. Nate Pearson's latest start, not great. 3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. I was talking to Scott beforehand, and in his Dynasty League, I traded a $31 Julio Urias. This is a 24-team head-to-head points league. A $31 Julio Urias for a $5 Nate Pearson earlier in the season. And I kind of hate myself for it. So there you go. Wander Franco is batting .277 with 3 homers and 3 steals with an .845 OPS. A couple of people have been asking us, Scott, about Wander Franco, and I think the Rays are going to continue to be patient with him until he really, really takes off. I don't think this is enough for them to say, okay, we have to promote Franco, because they're okay numbers, but they're not like eye-popping or anything.
Yeah, he's coming off a particularly not exactly bad week. It's not like he just, he didn't really do anything, so the batting average dropped, the OPS dropped. And I agree. Well, certainly since they just called up Taylor Walls, they're going to want to see what he can do first. But yeah, Franco kind of has to be, to beat the door down, and he's not doing that yet. I suspect he will at some point. And I don't really think Taylor Walls is going to be the answer for the Rays at shortstop either. So there's going to be kind of the combination of a need there, and hopefully Franco getting hot. But yeah, I don't think his promotion is imminent. As we've been saying for a while now, it seems likely that Vidal Brujan, who's up to 9 steals, I think, in addition to 7 home runs, it seems likely he's going to beat Franco to the majors.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've pretty much shared that sentiment all along, Scott. Vidal Brujan's already on the 40-man roster. Wander Franco is not, which they can easily manipulate that if they want Wander Franco up. But Vidal Brujan is currently up to a .321 batting average with 7 home runs, 9 steals, and only 1 caught stealing. So if you play in a 5x5 roto or a head-to-head categories league, you should already be stashing Vidal Brujan. Some updates on some other pitching prospects. Twins pitcher Yohan Duran, 4 shutout with 8 strikeouts on Thursday. And Rangers first-round pick from 2018, Cole Winn. He fired 6 shutout with 6 strikeouts on Thursday. He has a 2.08 ERA at AA. The Week 10 pitcher and hitter planners presented by Leinenkugels. How does the scheduling look for next week? Well, one team has 8 games. That is the Chicago White Sox. 15 teams have 7 games. 13 teams have 6 games. And one team has 5 games. That is the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's get things started, Scott, with some 2-start pitchers that you are looking at that are rostered in 80% or less of CBS leagues.
So this is one of those weeks where I have to, not necessarily 2-star pitchers, but every week I have to come up with pitchers rostered in less than 80% of leagues. So I'm giving myself a generous threshold there, 80%. Less than 80% of leagues. Pitchers rostered, 10 of them that I would advise for the upcoming week. It's even with that generous threshold, it's a daunting number. There just isn't that many bad pitchers ever worth starting. But this is one of those weeks where, there legitimately isn't 10. There may not even be 8, but I have a list of 10 anyway, because that's the rules I'm playing by. So it includes, and in the 10, I'm including Rich Hill, who's 79% rostered. I'm sure by the time this podcast is over, he probably will not be shy of the 80% threshold anymore, but whatever. I'm cheating. It's one of those weeks. Rich Hill at the Yankees, at the Rangers. I mean, yeah, those matchups are fine. I don't think it matters anymore. He's making 2 starts. He's been coming off the best start of his career, probably, and an amazing 6-start stretch. So obviously you're starting him. Luis Garcia, well, that seems kind of exciting, right? Except he's facing the Red Sox and Blue Jays. That's not so great. Now, he's coming off his best start of the season, and it was against the Dodgers. So I don't know. Maybe he's just, he did it against them. So maybe he could do it against these 2 teams. But, I would rather him have easier matchups. But fine. That's probably one of the better 2-star pitchers you can pick up regardless, Luis Garcia. James Caprillion, okay, coming off 3 really good starts, right? The last one was against Seattle, and the first matchup is against Seattle, so that seems like a good thing. Second matchup's at Colorado, at Coors Field. So I'm not saying you can't start James Caprillion because of that, but not excited to. I also have Mike Minor here. You know, the whiffs have been up in his last 2 starts. The results have still been kind of, I don't know. One of the 2 matchups against the Pirates, other against the Twins. Merrill Kelly, 7 straight starts, 3 earned runs or fewer for Merrill Kelly. The underlying numbers aren't great. I don't feel good about him, but he is facing 2 bottom 5 offenses in terms of OPS. The Mets and the Brewers. So, I mean, I'll call him a sleeper. I'm not excited about playing him though. And then we have Garrett Richards and John Gant here, just because they're going to be my 10 sleeper pitchers for this week, but I don't actually want to start either of them. Garrett Richards and John Gant. They're making 2 starts, but they're not for me.
How dare you? How dare you besmirch the name of John Gant? If Chris was here, man, he would be coming for you, man. John Gant is
Here's the thing. Like that, it's
no. We did like a whole thing about John Gant last night about how it's crazy how long he's out, how long he's pitched this well, considering his underlying numbers are brutal.
His whip is almost as high as his ERA. It's crazy.
It just
there will be a reconciliation between those 2 numbers soon enough. A high ground ball pitcher like him can have a high-ish whip and still a pretty good ERA, but 157 whip is absurd.
It's very bad. Let me ask you about another very high ground ball pitcher, and that's Adrian Hauser, who pitched 5 shutout with 4 strikeouts on Thursday against the Padres. He is slated to face the Tigers and the Diamondbacks next week. He's 20% rostered. So any interest in Adrian Hauser?
Not really. I mean, if I was making the list 12 pitchers deep, he might be in it, but I don't even like the 10 I have.
No. All right. So not a ringing endorsement there for Adrian Hauser. I think in deeper leagues, you can, with those matchups, Detroit and Arizona, I like that quite a bit. A 58% ground ball rate.
Well, wait a second. I don't think he's actually making 2 starts. Sorry. I should have pointed that out. There was a lot of tweaking going on with the, I could be wrong, but I think it's actually like they're inserting a 6th starter this weekend just for like a spot start, so everybody's getting pushed back a day. So Corbin Burns is actually the Brewers' 2-star pitcher next week.
Okay.
So sorry that I was basing my opinion of Hauser on just assuming 1 start. That
is good to know. Well, either way, if he faces Detroit or Arizona, that's a good start, but obviously not as enticing as if he were facing both. Scott, some single starting pitchers you like for next week?
So let me find that. Okay, here we go. Got 2 monitors set up here. 1-star pitcher. Okay, Alek Manoah. Yeah, he's already 73% rostered. So my second favorite is Dylan Bundy because he's going against the Mariners, so he might throw a no-hitter. But yeah, we'll see how his start goes this weekend, because if he gets throttled again for the 4th straight start, it's going to be tough to recommend him. But I was surprised to see he's only 70% rostered now. I feel like people gave up on him much quicker than similarly struggling pitchers. So he qualifies for this list now. And then my third favorite 1-star pitcher is probably Brady Singer. But again, that's not that exciting. I mean, look what the Rays did to him today. He didn't even make it through 3 innings. Got throttled. He's going against Pittsburgh, though, and I feel like he's been pretty reliable this year. I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but it's a name, Brady Singer.
Yeah, he did not look great against Tampa Bay, but it is up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. A few single start pitchers that stood out to me. Adam Wainwright is going up against the Reds, who are seemingly cold now again. And he has a 2.41 ERA at home. He's been great there. JT Brubaker, who has slowed down a little bit, but he's going up against the Miami Marlins. And
I couldn't just on principle. It's burned us two turns in a row here.
Yeah. Cody Poteet is the other name, who is a starting pitcher for the Marlins. He is at the Pittsburgh Pirates this upcoming week. Scott, who are some sleeper hitters that you like that are rostered in less than 75% of leagues?
So I don't love my choices here either, but it was kind of like there were too many options because, every week I pick the 5 best hitter matchups for the teams with the 5 best hitter matchups, the teams with the 5 worst hitter matchups. There's really only 2 teams with bad hitter matchups. Obviously, because there's a bunch of bad pitchers starting, right? They can't pick any good pitchers. So, Rockies are at home all week. I like CJ Cron. What week do I not like CJ Cron, right? And it's been a while since he's actually had a good week, but I think this is the week he comes back, delivers numbers, big numbers. So the White Sox are playing 8 games this week. They have a doubleheader. They're the only team playing 8 games. I think it's a fine time to start Andrew Vaughn. I think Nick Madrigal's not actually such a bad choice either. I think he's very likely to start all 8 of those games, which probably won't be the case for Vaughn. And just get a bunch of hits because there's so many games, so many opportunities for hits. He's going to pile up some hits. That's the hope anyway. I like the Twins matchups a lot. So I have Miguel Sano on here. I have Rob Refsnyder on here. He's just been on fire. He's only 5% rostered. I thought about going Trevor Larnach instead. So he's, he'd probably be the 11th player in my 10 sleeper hitters. But I have Rob Refsnyder in here. It didn't seem like he was going to be long for the role because it looked like Byron Buxton was on the road to returning, but he's had to kind of slow down his rehab. So it looks like Refsnyder's sticking around for a while. Another kind of deep pickup that I don't think we've talked about yet, Brad Miller. Brad Miller's back in our lives. He's suddenly been playing every day for the Phillies, and he's been hot, a few home runs here in recent days. And he's a left-handed hitter. Phillies face 6 right-handers, or scheduled to face 6 right-handers this week. Bryce Harper being out, that allows Brad Miller in the lineup more, and I think he's going to be someone who could contribute and is widely available this week. I like Avisail Garcia. He's been hot. I like Evan Longoria. He's been hot. Actually, Evan Longoria just homered for the 3rd time in 6 games today.
I was watching that game, and they shouted out that his exit velocity is actually the 3rd highest in baseball, behind only Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, which is very impressive.
I'm glad you had that stat at the ready because, it's StatCast making Longoria out to be a stud, and the numbers haven't backed it up, but he's getting hot. So, up to 7 home runs now for the season. I think it's a good time to get him in your lineup. Tommy Pham's getting hot. I think he had another couple hits today. And the Padres have pretty good matchups this week. Jock Peterson, bunch of righties on the schedule for the Cubs. I've given pretty much the whole list at this point, so I should probably stop so people actually read the article.
Tommy Pham, we have talked a lot about recently. He has scored a run in 7 straight games. He has 8 hits during that span with 3 steals. He's 54% rostered. Probably better in a categories league, although his plate discipline isn't bad either. So 7 games this upcoming week. I like Tommy Pham. He's getting hot. And another one where the underlying numbers on StatCast are very good for Tommy Pham. The 5 teams with the best hitter matchups, Scott has talked about them quite a bit already, but the White Sox, the Twins, the Rockies, the A's, and the Astros, the 5 teams with the worst hitter matchups, the White Sox.
Nope. Did I send you the same list twice?
You know what? You probably did not. No, here we go. I just copy and pasted the wrong thing. The Tigers, the Blue Jays, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves. Those are the worst hitter matchups.
As I mentioned, only the Tigers and the Blue Jays matchups are that bad. The Blue Jays are playing only 5 games. They're the one team with 5 games, just like the White Sox are the one team with 8 games. So I just want to point that out. I'm not that worried about the Mets, Diamondbacks, or Braves matchups.
So there you have it. The Week 10 pitcher and hitter planners presented by Line and Kugels, and it's Memorial Day weekend. Lots of baseball and enjoying the sunshine with an ice cold Leinenkugel Summer Shandy in my hand. It's the awesome blend of crisp beer with refreshing lemonade that fits perfectly when enjoying the sunshine and enjoying some baseball. And the Summer Shandy isn't all they offer. They also have a Session Helles, which has all the flavor of a crisp German-style beer, but it's only 99 calories. And if you're into IPAs, Leinenkugels offers their Lemon Haze IPA, which is a well-balanced hazy IPA that blends hops with delicious lemonade. So no matter what type of beverage you're craving, Leinenkugels has you covered. Just head on over to Leini.com. That's LEINIE.com, or follow Leinenkugels on Instagram or Facebook for more information about all of the delicious beers that they brew. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, some fantasy fun facts. We'll do it next on Fantasy Baseball Today. Now, I will admit this first one is not very fun, but this pitcher just went off, and we need to highlight him. He probably would have been an oh my goodness gracious player if he had pitched earlier, if he was on the East Coast. But Chris Bassitt, the fun fact is that he has now gone 7+ innings in 4 of his last 5 starts, and that includes a shutout that he just had, a complete game against the Angels. He allowed 2 hits, 1 walk with 9 strikeouts, only 10 swinging strikes on 114 pitches. The swinging strikes are up a little bit this year, Scott. I kind of feel like there's still some smoke and mirrors here with Chris Bassitt, but he's giving you length, he's giving you volume, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. The guy has been very good so far this season. So, Chris Bassitt.
Yeah, you say the swinging strikes. The swinging strikes were very low early in the season. So in the 7 starts leading up to this start, in which he had a 3.22 ERA, the swinging strike rate was about 13%, which is, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I think he's good. I think, just look at the numbers here. The last 2 seasons, he's up to 22. I only have the numbers for the last 21 starts. Obviously, tonight 32, but last 21 starts the last 2 years, Bassitt has a 2.98 ERA, a 1.13 WHIP, 8.7 K per 9, and it seems like he's getting better at missing bats. So that's only going to improve the numbers overall. In 53 starts, 60 appearances, again, not counting today's, 53 starts, 60 appearances, dating back to 2018. Chris Bassitt has a 3.36 ERA, a 1.18 WHIP, 8.6 K per 9. So, and again, I point out, he seems to be getting even better.
Yeah.
In terms of strikeouts, in terms of swinging strikes. I don't see much reason to doubt him anymore.
Yeah, he's rock solid. I wouldn't even put him in the sell high discussion unless, again, it's on that high spectrum where you're getting a really good return for him. I don't think you just try and sell him because he's hot right now. I think he's kind of legit. So Chris Bassitt, he's been really good now, dating back all the way to 2018. Bo Bichette, he's also very good. He had 2 dingers across the doubleheader against the Yankees. And the fun fact about him, his 150 game pace right now, Scott, is 33 home runs, 21 steals, 93 RBI, and a 123 runs scored for Bo Bichette, which is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And I tweeted that out, and a few Blue Jays fans actually responded and said that Bo Bichette has come out and said he doesn't even feel right at the plate yet. So I don't know.
Yeah, we've seen him hit for a higher average than he has so far. His OPS actually isn't that impressive so far. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything negative to say about him. I pointed out last week, if we were redrafting for the rest of the season, I'd take him in the 2nd round, which is not something I was doing at coming into the season at the very beginning. So his stock has gone up in my eyes.
Chris Bryant went 2 for 5 with his 11th home run, so just continues to keep it up. I looked at his May splits earlier to see. I don't have Chris Bryant anywhere, so I don't really. It's hard for me to track every day what he's doing outside of just looking at box scores. But he's having a fantastic May. Like, he's kept it up. He's followed up an awesome April with an awesome May. The fun fact about Chris Bryant is if you play on CBS starting Friday and beyond, he will have first base eligibility. He's been filling in for Anthony Rizzo the past couple of days, who's dealing with a back injury. So nice little triple eligibility now from Chris Bryant, 1st, 3rd, and outfield for him. Scott, Did you know who was the innings leader this season coming into Thursday?
Innings leader coming into Thursday. Oh, man. I feel like I should be able to guess that, but I'm not. It's not like Shane Bieber, I'm sure.
It's Shane Bieber now before his Thursday start.
Right. The way you phrased it.
Yep.
No, who's the wait. Is it Kevin Gausman?
It is not Kevin Gausman.
Okay. Who is it?
It is Tyler Glasnow coming into Thursday.
You know, the thought entered my mind, but I was like, no.
It's just such an awesome turnaround. So I did want to highlight that someone that I at least had concerns about how many innings he was going to give us. He has had some injury issues in the past. He's become way more efficient. He's not walking as many batters, obviously. So Tyler Glasnow had 70 innings pitched so far coming into Thursday, 1 out more than Trevor Bauer, who is number 2 on that list. But Shane Bieber is actually the player I wanted to highlight ultimately here, who got back on track at the Tigers. 7 innings, 1 run, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts, 22 swinging strikes on 103 pitches. However, 3+ walks in 6 of 11 starts. He did that only 3 times in 12 starts last season. But what I really did like here, Scott, 19 first pitch strikes to 26 batters, which had been a very big issue for Shane Bieber. That's a 73% first pitch strike percentage on Thursday.
Yeah, and you mentioned how many starts with 3 walks or more. This was his 3rd start this year with 4 walks. It's a very high walk total, but only 1 hit. So, obviously if he does this every time, you're not going to complain about it. Yeah, I wish the walks would come down. I think they will come down. Like it wouldn't surprise me if Shane Bieber has a stretch of 8 starts later this year where he issues 1 walk combined in the 8 starts, But clearly there's no reason to panic with Bieber. There never was reason to panic with him. He'd given up 30. How many hits was it? It was a ton of hits. 38 hits in his previous 7 starts or something. Okay. Yeah, 38 hits in his previous 5 starts. So, more than 7 hits a start. There's a couple 9-hit efforts in there. That was weird, but I don't think we were ever really worried, and bounces back with a 1-hit effort. Albeit against the Tigers, there's always going to be somebody out there with the smart aleck response. I know it was against the Tigers. Okay.
Scott's rants. Let's get it.
It wasn't the Lakeland Tigers, so I think it's okay.
This is we're getting ready, man. We are getting ready for Scotty Dubs, late night Scott, just unloading on everybody because come on, man, give Shane Bieber some credit. And look, you're supposed to dominate against the bad teams, right? So like, are people going to use it against you when you actually do it? Like, this is what he's supposed to do. He's just doing what we want him to. So
yeah, I mean, actually, like half the teams in baseball, I think, are at a place now where if a pitcher has a good start, at least like a third of the teams in baseball, if a pitcher has a good start, people could say, yeah, but look who he was facing. It's like, okay. I mean, it's just what a lot of the league is like right now. I don't know what to tell you.
And I think you could say that about the Royals because they have not looked great against Tampa Bay. We just saw Rich Hill go off against them, Tyler Glasnow, and Shane McClanahan as well. 5 shutout with 6 strikeouts. He had 16 swinging strikes on 63 pitches. And the fun fact for him, he has a 16.9% swinging strike rate entering this start on Thursday, which would be tied for 3rd best among qualified starting pitchers. Had he qualified, he doesn't, but it would be tied with Tyler Glasnow and Carlos Rodon. So it's frustrating. He's not going to give you lane, Scott. He has been held under 70 pitches in back-to-back starts. This is Shane McClanahan. He has not gone more than 5 1/3 in any game this season. He's 62% rostered. I think in Roto or categories leagues, you can roster him with the idea he's probably not going to give you a lot of wins, but he's going to give you really good ratios and good strikeouts. And obviously he's a spark player in points leagues. So I think that is very helpful. This is another one, Scott, where like Dylan Cease, it's like a buy high situation, but one that I would be trying to do because Shane McClanahan, I'm really impressed with what I've seen from him.
In Dynasty or just in redraft?
In Dynasty.
Yeah, and Dynasty definitely. Redraft, I've seen him dropped in some leagues just because people are disappointed in the workload. But it's 3 starts in a row, 5 innings plus. I understand the pitch counts are really low, so maybe it wouldn't be 5 innings plus if he didn't keep the pitches down. But I kind of wonder if they kind of extend him slowly, and maybe by August or something, he is turning in more typical starts. Particularly if it's clear he's one of their best pitchers. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. There's certainly reason why they might play carefully with him all season long, but that would be nice if that happened. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
Yep, I'm about it. I would love to see that from Shane McClanahan. A few more here. Steven Strasburg, he allowed 3 runs with 5 strikeouts over 5 innings pitched. This isn't really a fun fact. This is actually kind of a scary fact, but he averaged 91.8 miles per hour on his fastball. That was 93.9 miles per hour back in 2019. So, Scott, the worryometer on a Friday for Steven Strasburg.
Like probably like a 6. He's somebody who you halfway expect to hear about an injury after every start. So it's going to take a while to regain my trust. And obviously he has to prove he can be effective still with that reduced velocity. I wouldn't put it past him, frankly. I wouldn't. I don't want to go that far. I was thinking it might be an interesting buy low opportunity, but he did have to buy really low, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are no guarantees with Strasburg, obviously, but his value has never been lower than right now either. I don't know, just something I might look into.
The last one on the list, Rhys Hoskins has 7 hits, including 3 home runs over his last 6 games. And fun fact, his walk rate is 12% in the month of May. His strikeout rate is 21%, which is exactly what we wanted to see after a weird April, Scott, where he was striking out a lot and he wasn't walking. So Rhys Hoskins looks like he is back to being the player that he has always been in the month of May. He's hot. So he's back.
Yep. And, a few home runs here recently. So, yeah, he's looking good.
Just want to remind everybody again that if you have Spotify, you can listen to all of your favorite CBS Sports podcasts on there. But of course, Fantasy Baseball Today and FBT in 5. So make sure to follow both of those shows on Spotify. Even if you don't use Spotify as your main source of podcast consumption, follow us anyway. It helps, and we'll love you forever. Some deeper waiver options, Scott. Just tell me if you have any interest in any of these names. Willy Adames went 4 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBI. Actually, I think it was a grand slam. That would make sense. He has 7 hits over since coming over to the Brewers, 24% rostered. Jonathan Scope went 1 for 4 with his 4th home run. He has 8 hits over his last 6 games. Odubel Herrera had 2 more extra base hits. He's now batting .289 in the month of May. He's 17% rostered. And Harold Ramirez, who is probably going to play more for Cleveland now that Franmil Reyes is out for as long as he is. Harold Ramirez has 8 hits over his last 6 games with a stolen base. So Adames, Scope, Herrera, Harold Ramirez. Anything there, Scott? Deeper leagues.
No, but not anybody I'm getting excited about. I mean, obviously, if you get in a deep enough league, anybody who's getting regular bats matters. But beyond that, yeah, I'm not especially moved by any of these players.
Fair enough. That's perfectly fine. Some bullpen updates from Thursday. The call to the pen for the Blue Jays. Jordan Romano got his 2nd save of the season. Rafael Dolis has not pitched since May 23rd. So cross your fingers if you held on to Jordan Romano. Hopefully they are giving him the job. And he's been really good. So I don't see why they wouldn't. Scott, rank these relievers for me. They are rostered between 40 and 60% on CBS. If you need saves.
Wait. I don't see another, maybe even more notable than Romano's save in here, and that's Lucas Sims for the Reds. Got a very traditional save today after getting a 1-out save. I believe it was Tuesday, I think it was. So Lucas Sims has gotten 2 saves in a row for the Reds. Tuesday was kind of a weird situation, but Thursday wasn't. It was a perfect inning. He struck out one. And those are the kinds of outings that build trust, even if David Bell wasn't thinking along those lines initially. Like, Reds haven't known where to turn for the ninth inning for a long time now, basically like the second week of April. I think Lucas Sims is the clear front runner now because it's been so long since there's been a front runner. I'm not saying you got to throw a ton of fab in him. I would certainly like Jordan Romano more, but Lucas Sims might be him. Might be him for the Reds.
15% rostered is Lucas Sims. Scott, what should that number be by Monday?
Well, I mean, if Amir Garrett gets a save tomorrow, then it changes everything. But as things currently stand, I would say by Monday, 40%.
All right. So get Lucas Sims on your team if you need saves. Obviously, things could change because it's baseball, it's bullpens, but he looks like the front runner for the Cincinnati Reds. Scott, how would you rank these relievers that are rostered between 40 and 60% if you need saves? Lou Trevino, Jake Diekman, Jordan Romano, Michael Fulmer, and Tyler Rogers for the Giants, not Taylor Rogers.
I would go Lou Trevino, Jordan Romano, Tyler Rogers, Jake Diekman, Michael Fulmer.
All right. For the Yankees, Chad Green picked up his second save of the season. Apparently, Aroldis Chapman has been dealing with an illness the past couple of days. The Mets, Edwin Diaz got his ninth. The Phillies, Hector Neris got his ninth. The Nationals, Brad Hand got his eighth. I believe Kenley Jansen just got a save for the Dodgers. Yes, he picked up his 12th. And Ryan Tepera picked up his first save of the season, with Craig Kimbrell being used 3 of the previous 4 days. To stream or not to stream for the weekend, Scott, starting on Friday, Casey Mize up against the Yankees, Justice Sheffield versus the Rangers, Adbert Alzolay versus the Reds, Randy Dobnak versus the Royals, Martin Perez versus the Marlins, and Cody Poteet at the Red Sox.
Okay, well, Adbert Alzolay, Casey Mize are my favorite pitchers here. Don't love either one's matchup, but I think I'll go with those two, Alzolay and Mize. My third choice, probably Sheffield against the Rangers.
Yeah, I believe someone just pitched a great game against the Rangers. Chris Flexen, 7 shutout with 6 strikeouts. So I don't think he's, not really a fantasy notable pitcher in Chris Flexen, but that's what the Rangers will do. They make not fantasy pitchers, fantasy viable pitchers, very viable. I think Chris is going to Fenway to watch the Red Sox and Marlins series. He's going to get to see Martin Perez versus Cody Poteet. So it's an interesting pitcher matchup. That's all I wanted to say about that. On Saturday, we have Justin Dunn versus the Rangers, Mike Foltynewicz at the Mariners, David Peterson versus the Braves, Spencer Turnbull versus the Yankees, Ross Stripling at Cleveland, and JT Brubaker versus the Rockies. That game is in Pittsburgh.
Not loving these choices for the weekend, Frank.
Not great.
Not loving them. So you're forcing me to pick some guys here. I will pick. I'll pick Brubaker. Rockies away from Coors. That's always so easy, even though Brubaker's let us down. I'll pick Brubaker. I'll pick Turnbull against the Yankees, and I'll pick Stripling at Cleveland.
And it's worth noting, again, that I am forcing Scott to, not like
forcing me,
but I am forcing him to choose 3 of these pitchers. That doesn't mean you have to stream those. This is just if you are desperate.
He presents me with terrible options because he likes to make me look bad.
These are all I only use pitchers that are rostered in less than 70% of leagues. So these are the best ones available. I'm sorry, Scott. For Sunday, Kwang Hyun Kim at the Diamondbacks, Matt Shoemaker versus the Royals, Tarek Skubal versus the Yankees, Kyle Freeland at the Pirates, Brad Keller at the Twins, and Jake Arrieta versus the Reds.
Skubal, Keller, Kim.
Let's wrap up the week with some Apple Podcast review questions. And we'll start with Hammer and Hank. Grade the trades. I gave Isaiah Kiner-Falefa for Lourdes Gurriel. How would you grade that one, Scott?
I've moved Kiner Falefa up a lot, actually. So I don't know. I think that's a C- for me.
Ooh, all right. Second gave Giancarlo Stanton for Kyle Tucker.
Stanton for Tucker. I will give, is this a categories league? I feel like that makes a difference, but I'll give it a B.
A B. I like it. This next one's from Flash 8668. 10-team points league. Grade the trade. I traded. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, this must have been from a while ago. Well, I'm sorry, Flash. You traded Chris Bassett and Emmanuel Clase for Marcell Ozuna. Had Marcell Ozuna still been healthy in a points league, I probably still would rather have Ozuna.
Yeah.
But again, that's if Ozuna was healthy. So I'm sorry, bud. This next was from C. Sargent 4141. Grade the trade points league. I sent Whit Merrifield, Giancarlo Stanton, Zach Greinke, and Eric Hosmer. All right, so a lot of names there. Merrifield, Stanton, Greinke, and Hosmer for Bryce Harper and Cody Bellinger. I assume this was before Bryce Harper went on the IL.
Even so, I think you're on the better end of the deal. Kind of depends how deep the league is, but I'm assuming it's on the shallower side. I will give it a B plus. A B.
A B. This one's from Agro 1974. Grade the trade. 10-team head-to-head points league. I traded Trent Grisham and Zach Greinke for Mike Trout. I have plenty of quality pitching and I'm currently in second place and figure he could help me down the stretch. He would join Juan Soto and Whit Merrifield in my outfield.
Look, a 10-team points league.
So you do want to consolidate your talent, but you're also trading for someone who's out until probably the All-Star break. So that's a little tough.
Yeah, it's just
you do want to
what a replacement level player is in a 10-team league is so high end, you know. True. Like Greinke, I feel like might actually be pretty fringy in a 10-team league.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm behind it. I mean, if you feel like you can navigate without Grisham and Greinke in the short term, I think if you feel confident you're going to make it to the playoffs without him, I think you'll be glad you traded for Trout. So the context of it, I'll give it another B.
This one's from Drew Baca, 88. When is it time to move on from Matt Chapman, Kevin Biggio, and Mike Yastrzemski in a 12-team roto league that has 3 outfielders, 2 utility bats, and no corner infielder and no middle infielder? Best bats available are Gio Urshela, Kyle Seager, Keston Hiura, Garrett Cooper, and Colin Moran. Yuck. I need help in everything but stolen bases. I could also use pitching help looking at Taijuan Walker and Adbert Alzolay. So drop Chapman, Kevin Biggio, or Mike Yastrzemski. What do you think?
In a league with so few hitter spots, I don't think any of them are undroppable. But you're not really dazzling me with your waiver choices here. Like I'd rather be starting Urshela than Chapman right now. But would I drop Chapman for Urshela? I think the easiest to drop is Yastrzemski probably. So I assume you have. I assume you don't need your pickup to directly replace Yastrzemski in the outfield. In that case, I could drop Yastrzemski for Urshela. That's probably the only move I'd make, though.
Some of the most added hitters on CBS right now who might be available in a league this shallow. Ian Happ. Would you drop any of them for Ian Happ, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with it. I don't 3 outfielder league, 12-team 3 outfielder league. I'd almost go, unless I had a true stud, I'd almost go week to week with it.
Yep. So Jock Peterson could be available. He's only 40% rostered on CBS. Tommy Pham is only 52% rostered. So those are a few names. You know, they are in Scott's sleeper hitters. Refer to that list if you want to make.
Especially,
but
I need help in everything but stolen bases. Okay, so never mind.
Yeah. So Pham probably wouldn't be the most ideal, but Jock Peterson's getting hot. He could provide you some power there. So maybe a name that you could look at. This last one's from Future Glory. Grade the trade. Head-to-head keeper points league. I traded Christian Yelich straight up for JD Martinez. Everyone in the league laughed at me. I also traded Joe Musgrove and John Means for Aaron Nola. What do you think of these deals? Head-to-head points keeper league.
Okay, so maybe they're thinking JD Martinez is old in a keeper league. Like it does make a difference to me whether it's 10 plus keepers or 5- keepers, you know?
Yeah, they didn't say.
Yeah. But I'm assuming, you know, most keeper leagues are just a handful of keepers, and yeah, I don't think you should have to suffer through this year of Yelich because, you know, you're not married to him in a league where there's that much roster turnover. I'm good with it. Yelich for Martinez, certainly in a redraft league, a pure redraft league, I'd be thrilled to do that at this point and just wash my hands of Yelich for a outfield stud like that. Musgrove and Means for Aaron Nola. Well, the best keeper of the three is Nola. Feel pretty confident in that. So from that standpoint, for just this year, it's pretty pricey. I don't know that I'd do it in a redraft league, but if you're consolidating to get, you know, two kind of fringy keepers for one great keeper, I understand that. That's what I'd say. End of analysis.
Yeah. So, all right, Future Glory, go back to your league and you laugh at them because Scott White likes the deals. Uh-oh. What are we getting here?
I can't find the button. Who's the one laughing now? You are.
You realize that the voice changer isn't on, right, Scott?
No, really? Did that work?
So you just did it in like a Scott mocking a voice changer voice, but it actually wasn't the voice changer.
Is it working now?
Yes, it is.
Are we good now? Am I scary? Am I scaring you, Frank?
You are not, but I appreciate it, man. That's it. Scott After Dark. We got to wrap up. It's been a long week, as you could tell here on the podcast. For Scott, I am Frank. Thank you all for listening and watching Fantasy Baseball today. Have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Bye-bye.